Hello, Colleen. Hello, Andrew.
How you doing, Cal?
I'm wonderful. Yourself?
Great, really good, thanks. Yeah.
Good.
Well, if everyone's here, let's get started. So we'll call the July 13th meeting of Strathcona Gardens Commission to order and confirm that we have a quorum. And I'll entertain an adoption for the public agenda, please.
So moved.
Second.
Anyone opposed? That is carried. Business arising from the minutes? Hearing none. Public considerations. Mr. Yates, anything?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Moving on to staff reports, the Recreate project, detailed design, and grant opportunities.
Move receipt.
Second.
And we'll turn it over to Wolf.
Through the CAO and the chair to the commission, good afternoon, everyone. This is a staff report to provide an update to the design work, schedule, budget, information sessions, and the latest grant application that we submitted for funding. So the detailed design continues to move forward. We're doing really well. We received in June 27, 75 construction drawings from HCMA and the SOM consultant team. Currently, managers from Strathcona Gardens, Make Projects, and myself are reviewing the set of drawings to provide comments to the consultant so we can include some of these comments into the detailed design. Things are going really well with regards to the budget. So we're still on budget. 1.45 million was approved back in 2020, and we're still managing that really well. We have not exceeded that amount except for a few professional fees that we needed to hire consultants to help us with the grant applications, plus the value engineering process that was conducted back in February 2022. Other than that, I think things are looking pretty well. Schedule. We received a request from the prime consultant to extend the completion of the detailed design to mid-August. This extension does not affect the budget. It is an extension for them to have all the details that they need completed. It does not affect us as we do not have a plan to put the shovel on the ground to build Recreate, so we have accepted that. It's better to have a project that's got all the details so we can have tender drawings completed. With regards information sessions, on May 16 of 2022, we had 4 information sessions, 2 in the morning with the First Nation groups, Wewaikai and Wewakam. And we had a couple of information sessions in the afternoon with the community, user groups, and staff. And I'm just going to start pretty much with the feedback. In general, the feedback that we received from the First Nations and the community was very positive. I was expecting to see more people, but something that didn't happen, but it's totally out of our control. We decided because of that, we decided to keep the vision boards in the facility at the lobby location for another week. So patrons and the community have the opportunity to actually have a look at those vision boards, ask questions to the managers, or write comments cards. But in general, it all went pretty well. Some of the comments, interesting comments that we received is why the Recreate project wasn't built in a different location. And I guess they're thinking about the number of parking slots that are being reduced. They're very anxious to see when this is happening, so they spoke about the timelines of the project. We made it very clear in the project schedule that we provided to them that is subject to funding, so they do understand some of the challenges that we have. In terms of the presentations that we have with the First Nation groups, one of the great things that we did this time is that we brought the lead architect to do the presentation in person, which was the same architect that did the presentation to the commission a month before. So I think that's great. They were very pleased to get more technical details and yeah, just provide input. I think they definitely showed a big interest in, or expressed interest in collaborating with the regional district to develop public art for the facility. They envision that the facilities are representing the local area and the Lakwatak people. And one of the great things that we obtained, which never happened in the past, is we had reference letters or support letters that we used for the grant application that we submitted a month ago. And these are letters that will help us to continue communicating with them and also for future grant applications. The last update that I have is with regards the grant application itself. So we've been waiting for the GICB to announce a grant. That hasn't happened yet. We'll continue checking that, and we haven't seen anything. However, an opportunity came through the Strategic Priorities Fund through UBCM, and we successfully submitted an application. I just want to thank managers at Strathcona Gardens, Robin and Sarah, who had a look, actually with fresh eyes, help us to develop an application that meets the requirements and the objectives of the program. We also work with the consultants and as well, many thanks as well to finance. So this is definitely a teamwork where a lot of people have to get involved to get all the documents that they're asking. A lot of documents related to asset management, questions, a lot of information coming from finance, a lot of information is coming from the programming. And so with this fund that we apply for, the maximum amount that they're giving away, $6 million, they have available $100 million, and we anticipate that successful or pre-selected projects will be announced in spring 2023. So staff and from Strathcona Gardens and here from Engineering Services will continue looking at opportunities for grant applications. Overall, a very successful project, and things are going really well. And my last comment is that we plan to bring the prime consultant again to do a presentation to the final construction drawings in the next meeting in September 2022. Great. I welcome your questions.
Thank you, Wolfgang. Questions from commission members? Commissioner Gunnerud?
Thank you, Chair. Wolfgang, I have two items. First off, it looks like the user group's feedback is mostly positive, which is a good thing. The second question I have is HCMA's concerns, any particular ones that required them to ask for an extension?
Yeah, basically, I think they have some challenges with the sub-consultants that they're trying to resolve, and in order to provide some more of the details, and also one of the things is that they're issuing RFIs to our office, and for us to actually respond to those RFIs, it requires us to set up meetings with service providers like Shaw, TELUS, and other firms that are working for Strathcona Gardens that are delaying the process a little bit longer.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further from the commission? Seeing none, thank you for excellent update as usual. I will just say that I have been in discussions with both Chief Gikite and Chief Roberts about parks and recreation facilities. So really pleased to see that you had that engagement with both nations. And the conversations that I've had with them are regarding the Weewakai soccer and baseball facilities up across the highway. And they were very supportive of the Recreate project. So if there are any future meetings, I'd be happy to join and sit in and just work with staff, particularly on a sort of regional district to First Nations discussions. So don't be afraid to let me know, and I'll do my best to be there. The other thing that I want to just let commission members be aware of, in the June 22nd edition of this year of Building Links, Powell River is noted for having a recreation complex and rehab plan, and that they are looking to do a grant application to the Strategic Priorities Fund program for $6 million for new roof and accessibility improvements. That being said, they don't really have their design preps anywhere near to the level of detail or thoroughness that we have. So, but it's just to be aware that the longer this goes on, other places are sort of getting in the queue that would be potentially competitive. Also, the June 29th, 2022 edition of Building Links, it's listed as to new tenders Port Alberni, the Aquatic Center feasibility study. And again, there are no plans, but they're putting it out there for qualified consulting firms to look at the Aquatic Center for either a rebuild or new. So it's just, these are right in our neighborhood and would be direct competition for grants. So let's go full throttle for the grant that's coming up, because I think we are best positioned before we start to get some local competition. So that's just for your information. And I can share those with you if you want copies, or I'll give them to Mr. Yates. And questions from the commission members or staff? Seeing none, just a receipt?
Yeah, the motion's on the floor.
Motion's on the floor, so anyone opposed to receipt of the update? Seeing none, that's carried. And Mr. Yates has reminded me that we need to go back to C and just need a motion to, or E, I should say, adoption of the previous minutes of May 11th. If I could have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Anyone opposed? That is carried. And bylaws,
Mr. Chair, before we move on off of the pool discussion, I'm just wondering if we have any idea of how much, like the length of time it's taking to get grants, and how much is this costing us in terms of inflation? If every year that we have to wait and wait for confirmation of grants, that the price is going up all the time. I'm just worried that it'll end up like the Campbell River Library to be completely out of reach cost-wise once we do get.
Commissioner Lee.
And whether.
Yeah, Commissioner Lee, really good point, and I think that's why I am very appreciative of the continued positive support from staff and the commission to continue to try to move this along and seek whatever grant opportunities become available. And this one is the next one, and I think we'll put on a full court press for this one because you're right, the cost escalations that are happening, particularly in the last 2 years, has been certainly impacts on the ability to be able to afford these. So thank you for your comments.
Okay.
Anything further? Seeing none, moving to correspondence, just receipt of the building links articles that I referred to.
Move receipt of building links.
Thank you.
Second.
Discussion? Anyone opposed? That is carried. And then the Strathcona Gardens June 10th, 2022 correspondence from Osvaldo Brasca.
Move receipt. Second.
Any discussion? Okay. Commissioner Gunrud?
Very interesting letter from Osvaldo. Any word from staff on any resolve?
Mr. Chair, I think Robin can speak to this if you like.
Thank you through the CAO, the chair, and to the commissioners. Unfortunately, the complaint did result in a letter. We've discussed this as managers. It is our jobs to address these issues as they come up. We have communicated with Mr. Brasca and then sort of expressed that, the first stop for him should be the managers. He has all of our information, and if he is ever in the facility and then there is a concern brought up while he's in the facility, he knows where we are located and he can address it with the front desk staff. The concerns have been discussed with the aquatic staff. And then as far as the maintenance issue, it's good timing, I guess, because today we got notification that the steam generator is ready to ship back to us, and then we can engage with, and start the sauna up again. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Robin. I think we have to treat Mr. Braska fairly in this because for those of you who may or may not know, Osvaldo was very well positioned in the Coast Hotel chain throughout the province, and the Discovery Inn was his last stop. So I think he is well versed in public and community and employee relations. So just to be aware of that. Thank you.
And he has a direct line to the aquatics manager if there's anything further positive or negative that comes forward.
Awesome.
Thank you. Commissioner Lee?
Well, I think that we should, as a commission, the chair of the commission should send a letter out to Mr. Braska, acknowledging his frustration with having to move from where he normally swims and the manner in which he says he was treated, and apologizing for any upset he experienced. We need to make a clear policy on how shared spaces are to be shared, because this problem with exercise classes impinging on swimmers and vice versa has been going on for the last 2 or 3 years, and everybody's disgruntled by the by having to move around all the time. So not having a clear policy on how shared spaces are to be shared, I think it's necessary to look at that.
So Commissioner Lee, thank you for that. I know Mr. Brasco quite well, and if I could request that instead of sending a letter, that if the chair is just directed to give Mr. Brasco a call as a follow-up to what staff have already done, I'd be happy to do that.
Okay. I think he should be acknowledged that, we received his letter.
Okay.
And giving him some assurance that, this matter is being dealt with by our management staff.
So is that okay with the seconder if it's just me reaching out?
Yeah.
Is that, Cal, are you nodding? Is that a yes?
I'm nodding. That would I think that would be sometimes an in-person conversation is more effective than a letter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So right now, Mr. Yates is keeping me on track and on check that we just have a motion to receive the report. So if there was a subsequent for me to reach out to Mr. Braska, I'd be happy to entertain that. But is there anything further on receipt? Is anyone opposed? That is carried. And Commissioner Gunnerud, do you want to do a subsequent?
I would do a subsequent as per Brenda's request that a verbal conversation with the chair and Mr. Braska be entertained.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Anyone opposed? Motion is carried. Mr. Yates, you keeping me on track? What's next? Oh, Mr. Yates says termination's next. Who would like to?
Termination.
Thank you, Commissioner Kerr. Do we have a seconder?
Second.
Does anybody want to discuss termination? Is anyone opposed? We are terminated.
Ron, how are
Thank you.
you? I never got to chat with you before the meeting.
Hi, Cal. Very, very good, except for the fact that